5 years on YouTube as your live and interactive Sharks postgame show. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday night, March 8th, 2020. The Sharks finish up their 6-game homestand. Not exactly the way they wanted to. They go 3-3, and this one is a 4-3 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live, interactive, and tonight your only Sharks-based post-game show. We do this after every game on the YouTube channel, so if you want to be part of the show, here's how you do it. We got plenty of fans in the chat, on our super chat on the page or the app. Join in, join the conversation. Let's have some fun. Also follow us on the social, on Teal Town USA, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, and of course Discord after the show. And of course, for more Sharks content, hit us up at tealtownusa.com. Hi again, everyone. I am Erik, along with Mr. Ian Reid.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So we do this after every game. If you're new to us, come on in, hit that subscribe button down below. We are on a road to 2,000. We would love for you to join us after every game. Of course, hit that notification bell. That'll notify you when we get on the air. So we appreciate you tuning in. And let's kind of get at what the chatters are saying already. Now fans aren't even showing up the tank. Well, come on. There is the concern. I think, like Ultimate Oreo says, it's partly because of that coronavirus.
The concern of seeing a bad hockey game?
Or that too. That too. I mean, there's still bleeding teal no matter what. Justice for Timo. Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. And, Ultimate Oreo's right, Ian. Last night or yesterday afternoon, it was Chris Tierney. Tonight, Joonas Donskoi scoring game winners against us back-to-back nights. Some say this EK65 trade is getting worse. So,
I mean, look, for Joonas Donskoi, and we'll get into this later, I'm sure, too, but Joonas Donskoi has 16 goals this year. He's making $3.9 million. If that's what you want to pay for if you want to pay $3.9 million for 16 goals, all the power to you, I guess.
Yeah, but here, that's the thing. And he scored his first goal in 21 games. 21 games. There's a reason why he didn't sign back. I mean, he went from January to, I think, Game 7 against Colorado between goals.
Yeah.
So
right. Last year, this is the thing. This is the thing that happens, right? It's one of those things where multiple things can be true.
Right.
Yeah, Joonas Donskoi was pulled out of a playoff game and for Michael Haley, which is a complete coaching abomination. But there was also 30 games where he was on a line with Logan Couture and Tomas Hertl, and he did nothing. And I love Joonas Donskoi. The guy has an engine that doesn't quit. I love the way he plays the game. But God, at $3.9 million, he's all yours, Colorado.
Yeah, I completely concur on that. So Colorado in a battle with the St. Louis for the division title. In the Central, they come into this one fighting for that. The Sharks, still trying to play spoiler in this one, and they get going early after Kamenev takes an interference call. Joe Thornton, who was the guy who got interfered with by Kamenev, gets set up by Kane and Meyer with 3 or 4 Colorado sticks trying to get in the way. Jumbo slams it home for his 7th. To make it 1-0 Sharks. And, I think, Ian, tell me if I'm wrong, but since the Rangers game, I think he's gone 5 goals, so that Saturday before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's probably a little bit salty that he didn't get, that a team didn't make a better pitch for him. I think he probably could have been a little less selective. About maybe the team that he gone to. I think there's a point here where I'm not saying like it's all Joe's fault, but I think there's probably a portion of this where Joe probably has to look himself in the mirror and say, well, if I would have went to, if it wasn't, no one knows the list, right? But the way he made it sound like they had to be a legitimate contender. So it wasn't just, I don't want to just go to a playoff team. I want to go to a team that I think has a good chance of winning, which is fine. He's earned the right to do that. He has a no move clause. I get all that.
Right.
But at the same time, when you look at like what happened in the playoffs last year, how many favorites got put out in the first round? Like anything can happen. I'd go to, you're running out of kicks at the can. I would have probably, as long as they're like, I wouldn't have wanted to go to a team like maybe that might end up missing anyway. Like I'd want to go to a team that was more secure in a spot, but
Right.
that's still a lot of teams, probably more teams than he had on his list. Again, speculation on my part,
Of course.
and there's going to be a level of speculation on that, but yeah, I think it's something that, yeah, he's probably a little pissed off, and he probably wants to show that, yeah, I still got something left, because I mean, it sounds like all signs point to him being back next year, but if I'm Joe Thornton, I don't know if I want, like, unless if I think that this is, if I look at the offseason, I see this thing turning around. If I'm Joe Thornton and that last kick at the can's really important to me, I might just merge myself out for league minimum and see what happens.
It'll be interesting to see what Jumbo does, because I think he would love to be in San Jose. I think there's no question about that. At the same time, he wants that cup.
Well, for sure. I mean, if that's why they play the game, right? Like none of these guys, no one gets into professional hockey because they don't want to win a cup. Right. Like that's the end goal. Like regardless of what people will tell you about, certain players don't care. They just want the money. No, man, they all want to win the cup. Like, come on.
It's not a piece of metal like it supposedly is in baseball. So
it's I don't know. That's why they're there.
Right, but Joe Thornton gets his seventh of the season, 420th. Oh, the irony and the jokes there. Ties Bill Barber for 84th all time in league scoring, and he can tie three others with his next goal at 421. But moving onward, Kane takes a cross-checking call at 15:04, and about a minute and 13 seconds later, somebody forgets to recognize that Nathan McKinnon's on the ice, for crying out loud. He gets his 35th of the season, 91 points on the campaign. Now he gets that point that he was looking for at the end of last season to get to 100, but he's at 91 now. That ties up the game on the power play goal. Yeah,
I mean, just a hell of a shot, wide open. No one had him. Just not really much Jones can do. Jones has got defenseman in his eyes. It's really hard to stop that shot.
Yeah, and wide open too. That's Ovechkin's office, and
yeah, like that's a goal scorer's goal.
Yep.
As I like to say.
Yep. and you say it often, as you.
I've become so cliche this year. Like.
Hey, if
a walking cliche monster.
Hey, if next thing you tell me, if you tell me to go pucks in deep, I'm just gonna start
just
getting
mute
concerned.
Me?
No.
Okay.
Oh no. Cole would take a hooking call at 1940. The Sharks wouldn't do anything on that power play as it gets going. However, pretty much right after that power play, just under 2 minutes in, Landeskog gets the rebound to a wide open net. His 21st from Colorado makes it 2-1 in that one. And then the Sharks come back. Melker Karlsson, who, he's Melker Karlsson. He can go all over the place, it seems like, with this team, no matter if it's PDB or Bob Booner. Blocks the shot. The puck goes right to Sorensen, and Sorensen feeds him, sends him on his way. He gets his sixth to tie this game at 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's a good play. It's a fortuitous bounce that they take advantage of, and that's the kind of stuff you want to see. Obviously, I'm glad it went from Sorensen to Melker, not Melker to Sorensen, because I don't know if we'd have a goal.
Oh, wow! Although you may not be wrong, my friend. You may not be wrong.
The ton of games I've watched, I don't feel I'm wrong this time around. Like I feel like that's the fortuitous bounce, and it went the way you wanted it to go. No, honestly, like for two guys that have obviously taking a lot of flack for some of their shortcomings, I think this is, it's a nice play for them. It's nice that they're able to combine, and it's a nice goal.
Yep. And that one gets them tied up at 2-2, and well, that's as close as the Sharks would get on this night. 8:41, Nemestikov. It's kind of tags teams with I believe it wanted to be Landeskog or McKinnon with Burns. Burns turns the puck over. Nemestikov gets wide open, his 16th of the season, to make it 3-2 at 8:41, and he's been a nice pickup for Colorado since coming over from the Rangers.
Yeah, broken play. I don't love the way Jones played it, but it's hard to do something like when a play breaks down like that, and you got a guy and he's got it on his forehand, so he can, and a guy like Nemestikov's got a really good reach, and that's a tough save to make.
And so that makes it 3-2. There was a couple penalties in the second period. Well, you have Milker taking a slashing call, then little over a minute later, Meyer takes a hooking call, 5-on-3. Sharks PK looking, they've had their moments, and they let in a power play goal here tonight, but still one of the top units in the league. Earlier in the game, Couture, I think it was on that power play that the Sharks got, takes a puck to the head. Ian, I think you've seen it. What did you think of that one? He did not return to the game tonight.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
Scary. A guy who's just had a crap ton of not a lucky year for Couture. Obviously had the ankle earlier. Obviously, you hope that this isn't just based on where it got him. Like, you hope that it's not too serious, but I mean, this is a guy who's already had his mush kind of destroyed by a puck. I mean, hopefully it's not like a broken jaw or something. Like, hopefully it's something that they can patch up quick and get him back on his skates again. I mean, not that you can skate with a broken jaw, but it sucks, depending on how they have to put it back together. And it's, again, completely speculation on my part. That would be my concern of where the puck hit him, though, would be broken jaw.
Jaw, somewhere in the head. I mean, let's
concussion, jaw, like something. Obviously, it's all bad. I mean, when you get hit in the face or facial area with a puck, it's generally not good. So, hopefully it's precaution. Hopefully it's not too serious, but nothing really good comes of getting your mush hit with a puck.
No, and he's had so many rough injuries over the last few years. I mean, 2015, I think he had one ankle injury, and then near the end of 2016-17, he had the teeth injury, and then earlier this year he had the ankle injury, and then again a puck to the head tonight. So rough one there. So if we hear anything from Logan Couture, I know Bugner is about to speak with the media at the moment. We'll let you know if there's anything that comes out of it. But third period, I thought that it was going back and forth. Throughout this game, I thought the Sharks played pretty well with the speed tonight. However, Joonas Donskoi again breaks his 21-game scoreless, goalless drought. Bangs one in for the game-winning goal, 4-2. Welcome back, Joonas. Appreciate everything you did, but damn.
Yeah, Vlasic needs to be Vlasic only has one hand on his stick there. If he has I know he's trying to go for a poke check, but if he probably keeps both hands on his stick, and again, it's a fast game, but if he keeps both hands on his stick, he might stop Donskoi from getting that shot off. But it is what it is. Puck goes in the net. Not a great goal for Martin Jones either. It kind of is what it is, right?
Yeah. Yep. And so he gives him the 4-2 lead. Earlier in the third, though, kind of backtrack a little bit. Timo Meyer gets his stick stuck in Graves' skate blade, and Graves didn't like it, so he two-hands him, makes contact with the hand. He's in pain. It's plainly obvious. Um, it's it's getting to the point where
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
you had like a couple of slashing calls in this game earlier tonight, and again, mm, it it boggles my mind, and I know it's not just the Sharks because I've seen other people, be upset about the officiating in the league this year, and it almost seems like they're
Sure.
taking a step back of where they wanted to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's not good. I look at it. It's not great. Like, you'd think they'd do better, but I don't know. I mean, it's another day in the NHL.
Yeah. So a couple of updates. First off, yes, we agree. JF Turner rests were garbage again. Yeah. What else is new? According to Bugner, Couture went into concussion protocol after a puck to the cheek. So yeah, you're right there, close to the jaw. Bugner says he thinks he'll be fine and could possibly be a possibility for the next game. That's interesting. Jeez, I hope he's okay. Sheng Peng, good friend of the show. Sheng Peng is, you know, uh, says Meyer came out to talk and says he's okay after Slash looked no worse for wear. So thankfully he's okay in that one. Late in the game, Kane takes a high stick. Looks like he'll be okay. Only was a 2-minute Meyer. Gregor gets the one-timer in to make a 4-3 with under a minute to go. Gregor, he's got some speed. Let's hope he gets some scoring touch, but it looks
Gregor
like
should play more. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, Gregor. I don't know. I don't understand why Gregor's not a regular in this lineup at this point over some of the players that have come in and out. I don't know why he's been on the rotation in and out. I really like his game every time he plays, and it's frustrating that he's been in and out, in and out, in and out.
And it frustrates because you have your scoring touches. Yes, you have to play two-way hockey. There's no doubt about that, but you also have to realize that you need some scoring. If Gregor can provide that for you, you have to keep him in the lineup.
For sure.
So
I don't know. I mean me and Landy kind of talked about this yesterday too, about just like some of the bench shortening and stuff, and some of it just doesn't make sense. Like, just let these guys play. I mean, this is it's experience. I mean, it's better to give them experience on the ice than having these guys not just sit on the bench for the third period. What are they playing for? They got a point something % chance of making the playoffs. Like, let's
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're virtually eliminated from postseason play. And come on, let's go already. Let's just let the hair down and go. I mean, now, do you think this is more so Bugner trying to coach for his job? I mean, is it about?
Yeah, I think that's a part of it, right? Because I mean, they're gonna. Yeah, I mean that's probably part of it. I mean, it's hard to get the interim tag taken off if you're not winning games. So I mean, I can understand it. It's one of those things where I don't know. I just wish that maybe I don't know. Like, I'm not totally sold that Bugner should be the guy next year. I know some people like him a lot, and that's cool. And I'm not going to disparage that. I just wonder if he didn't have the interim tag, would he let some of these guys go a little bit more?
Yeah. Fanatical Teal Bleeder saying that third goal for the Avs was all in Birds. A terrible play. Yeah, that was a rough turnover. Didn't get any support, though. Patrick Tyler saying Gregor is starting to graduate from having a guy on the back of his jersey from having his actual name there. Yes. The Barracuda had those nickname jerseys.
Well, not just because my thing is, guy, because the Sharks have a sea of guys. But no, Gregor's a guy who has like there's an upside there. Like there is potential upside there. He's the guy that should be getting regular reps because that's the only way he's going to get to that potential is if he actually gets to play and work through it.
Right.
And I just feel like, not playing every other game isn't really doing him any favors. And some of the guys you're dressing instead of him aren't going to be here. Like Gregor's a guy that could be here when you turn this thing around, whether that's next year, the year after, whatever, right? Like Gregor's a guy who could be here when you turn this around and could be a legitimate player, you know. A guy like Marcus Sorensen probably isn't. Well, maybe if they can be good next year, then Marcus Sorensen's here. But beyond that, like, do you think Marcus Sorensen gets another contract? I'm not sold. I think that if the Sharks don't find a guy that can replace Marcus Sorensen, then, like Marcus Sorensen's not a young guy.
No.
So I don't know. Like, it's just.
Is there somebody in the organization that can take his spot? Then maybe they'll take his spot, unless he's asking for a pay cut or whatnot at this point. So, Timo on the grave slashed, whacked a finger, so it's all good. I've got 4 more. Way to be Ronnie Lott there, Timo. Joshua Zalk is with us, but yes, I do agree Gregor should be a regular in the lineup. Josh would also say Bugner should be our permanent head coach after the season. He's improved at D, and the goaltending did improve.
I think you could make, like, I'm not saying, like, you can make a strong argument for it. Right. I just think that with some of the players or some of the guys that are out there, you're not married to it. You should take a look around first. I don't think, like, I think Bugner's done fine, considering what he's had to work with. You're right. He's gotten more out of the defense and out of the goaltending than Peter DeBoer was. But with some of the guys that are out there without jobs right now, I still think, you're not married to him. He's the interim guy. You can look around, and I think that I think all options should be on the table. And that'll probably continue to be my take until they decide on who's the guy next year.
And the other thing, too, is you don't have to rush into having Bugner to take off the interim. You have, I don't want to say a lot of retreads out there, but you have a lot of coaching candidates out there right now. So, you could wait and see what's out there, or who gets let go after April 4th. It's
mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see, and keeping an open mind to it. So, my guess is Patty will replace Sorensen on the 4th line. He can trade Sorensen away, given his recent production.
You could, it's worth a try. I think. Again, he's a guy who's. The Sharks have, like, some of their contracts are generally, and I know people are gonna say, oh, it costs extra money to get them to come here, but, like, some of their contracts, man, they're just overvalued for the players they're signed to, and Sorensen's one of them.
Yeah. One thing we have noticed, and I think you and Landy mentioned it last night's show about how much time Burns is getting, and Chris mentioning that. In the sense that, how about him running Burns into the ground in meaningless games? Brent Burns played 31:08 tonight.
Yeah, it goes back to, like, again, that goes back to, like, what I've been saying about a lot of other things too. It's like, it's the shortening of the bench, and obviously when you shorten the bench, other guys are going to get unnecessary minutes. I don't know what, like, again, I guess he's trying to win as many games as possible to get the interim tag removed. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put that much mileage onto a guy like Brent Burns. It doesn't make sense to sit a guy who could use the experience in the third period for, to just run your vets into the ground. And it's stuff like this that we saw under Peter DeBoer that, and this is where you can make the argument against Bob Bugner continuing, because what the hell, why?
Right. Now granted, your defensive lineup is Brandon Davidson, Mark-Edouard Vlasic, Radim Šimik, Knyzhov, Heed, and Burns. Burns played 31 minutes. Šimik played 23. Vlasic only played 20-35, which I find quite interesting.
Yeah, Vlasic's not good Vlasic's not good in a ton of minutes though. Like Vlasic generally plays a good, if you can keep him around 20 minutes, I think that's when you get your best hockey out of him. When you play him over 20 minutes, his hockey, he gets tired. I don't think he plays his best hockey with 10 minutes. Some guys can shoulder a heavy minute load. Vlasic's not one of them.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And also doesn't help that you have three guys that weren't playing for this team. Heck, weren't even with the big club 3 weeks ago. Nijov,
Right.
he was with the team. He was just
Well,
sitting
he's
in the
always
press
been here,
box.
but he's never been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the other thing. Like, obviously, like Davidson, you're not really like Davidson's just a guy. He's a warm body to fill a spot. So I can understand why you might take minutes away from him because you're not hurting him by taking his minutes away. He is what he is.
Right.
At this point. Nijov, I'm not super high on this player. Like it's not, the scouting report has gone around on him, and it's pretty consistent with what I've heard. He's a great skater, but that's about it.
Right. He's a good skater.
I don't know.
Like you guys said, he wanted the puck.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, like I'm not saying like he's been bad or terrible. I mean, I like the fact, like I love the confidence that he comes in, that he's calling for the puck and stuff, but
Right.
but his toolbox is pretty limited. That's all I'm saying. Skylar asking, do we hope a guy like Dahlin or Leonard can step? Both guys are interesting. Obviously, Leonard, you got to get him to turn pro after this year, and I feel like that's probably a good possibility there. I think the Sharks will have opportunities for a guy like him to play. Dahlin's an interesting one because I just feel like the Sharks aren't going to just like. It depends on what you believe on Jonathan Dahlin. The rumor, the talk on Jonathan Dahlin has always been, if he isn't playing in the NHL, he's not interested in being in North America. Now, I've never talked to the dude, so I can't speak to that personally. But if you hear something enough times and you hear it in multiple places, it was said in Vancouver, it was said in San Jose, allegedly. But he's a guy who has a ton of talent. He's putting up a lot of points. But it is important to note that those points are coming in the Allsvenskan, which is the second-tier league. But still, I mean, he's a guy that I really wish the Sharks would take another look at, but I'm not even sure they qualify him this summer. I don't know.
Let me ask you this: is he a guy that can take a spot like Sorensen, or for that matter, Melker Karlsson?
Is he? I don't know if he has. I don't know if they'd give him the leash. This is the problem, right? It's not an issue of whether he has the talent. With this team under even the current coaching staff now, that leash isn't very long, and that's the problem. It's not the issue of does he have the talent. It's is he going to get the leash to figure it out? And I would argue no.
A lot of chat going here. Josh, I don't see Sorensen as a player that has a big upside. Sage, Gambrell, and Gregor do. They can both play the third line. And let's not forget about Alex True. And I'm trying to get a read on both of them and figure out who has a better shot at becoming a solid top six. Do you see a solid top six in the organization?
Well, I mean, among those two, you see glimpses of it, but I haven't seen enough that I'm sold that either one is gonna. That's this. They have potential, but I'm not sold that those guys ceiling out as top six players. Either of them, but they could still be very like you still need serviceable guys, right? I mean, obviously the Sharks have cap issues, so they need serviceable guys that are cheap. But I mean, like, there's no shame in being a regular third line guy in the NHL. But at some point the Sharks need more than that from someone because they got a pretty gaping hole on right wing.
And that's something that they need to address very soon, whether it's any of their prospects to come up or their prospects turn into a player that they can get. I mean, that's the bottom line in regards to how this team turns their fortunes around and how Doug Wilson believes he can get this team back on track to next season. So.
And then like Josh Dock saying like Sasha and Chekovich would have saved our asses, but honestly, again, and I said this a bunch too, those guys are first year pros, so them not being ready and the fact that they were both late round selections, that's fine. They get to figure it out. It's when they, you want to see, but you need to see steps next year, and by year 3 they need to be pros, in my opinion. Like that's by year 3 you should be playing, like not just pro hockey, because AHL technically is pro hockey, but they need to be in the NHL in 2 years. But this year I'm not worried about it. This year they're allowed to not, like having a guy jump in and be, as a first year pro, like that takes a super special player. And I think it was an unfair expectation on a couple of guys that were drafted late rounds.
If you're just joining us, welcome to Teal Town After Dark. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell. That'll tell you when we're on the air. And, of course, give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up in honor of Erik Carlson. We're at 15 likes. We have 40 people watching. Come on, people. Let's match at least the Sharks' shot on goal total tonight, which was 24. Face-off wise, 60-40 in favor of the Avalanche. Both teams had 4 opportunities. Hey, the Sharks had 2 power play goals tonight. Woohoo! There's a silver lining, right? So,
Yeah.
Skylar, oh jeez. Hoping your 6th and 7th to step up and take spots is a damning statement on the scouting department that regularly fails in rounds 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, well, and that's the problem, right? Like everyone, like this is the problem, right? Because like guys like Joe Pavelski, who we all love, he was a 7th round pick who turned out to be just
dandy.
Those guys are the exception to the rule. They're certainly not the rule.
Mm-hmm.
If you looked at like some of these top 3 round picks, like even if a couple of them turn out, the Sharks aren't in the trouble they are now. Like, if you go back and you look at them, I mean, the ones that didn't get traded away, but that's the problem, right? Like if only a couple of those guys show up, then maybe you're not scrambling around trying to fill spots now as much as you have been, and you can kind of transition a little bit more smoothly than this mess that's been this season.
Yeah.
Merkley is doing well in London. He's want to say top 3 scoring defenseman in the OHL this year, doing really well in London. I think the fact that we haven't heard anything about Ryan Merkley is probably for the best, because the only reason a lot of us would hear about him is if he did something dumb, and it's been radio silent with his time in London, which I think is awesome for him as a player, is awesome for his reputation. Because let me tell you, if he did something dumb in London, you would hear about it. So.
We definitely hear it. I mean, London's like one of those hotbeds, I guess you could say, in all of Canada.
Oh, it's a prestige. Yeah, it's easily one of the best franchises you can play for in junior hockey. I mean, there's a very short list of teams that are just consistently good, consistently put out talent, highly thought of programs. London's definitely one of the best. As much as it kills me to admit that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. As you're right near as you're right near Sault Ste. Marie, go Greyhounds, where Joe Thornton played junior, of course. Ryan Merkley tonight, 59 games. He's got 15 goals, 61 assists, 76 points in nearly 60 games. He has 46 PIMs in the OHL, so that's pretty good on that one. I say he'll be pretty.
Yeah, like he's had a good season. He's putting up points. He hasn't really, like, again, and the most important thing is that you haven't heard any nightmare stories about having boo-boo face, or getting into a fight with the coaching staff, or throwing shit down the hall as he gets taken off the ice, and or having scuffles with teammates. Like, you haven't heard any of that this year, which is that's the real important thing in my opinion. I mean, yeah, the goals are nice and the points are nice and the improved play is nice too, but not hearing the scary the scary stuff that you after being drafted, and having him on, the reason he fell to the Sharks was because there was teams, or he was just on there. I don't care how, where he is on the board, we're not taking him, period.
Yeah. Whoops. And we're getting comments now from Graves, who about that slash against Meyer. He used an expletive to describe his reaction to anybody who might be mad. The Sharks said Meyer had been trying to hurt his ankle with his stick prior. So that's why there was that reaction from Graves.
Whatever.
They play one more time later this month. Should be fun. So that's that for the game. Sharks lose this one 4-3. They go 3-3 on the homestand. They will play in Chicago on Wednesday. That's a national broadcast on NBCSN. So again, we will be your only live and interactive post game here. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Check us out on tealtownusa.com. Also follow us on the Twitter machine. At Teal Town USA, where we will GIF all the moments during the games, and of course all kinds of other stuff. So check us out there. So Sharks lose this one 4-3. Going over some of the scores tonight as the playoff races are starting to heat up now. Hurricanes take down the Penguins 6-2. Patrick Marleau, former Shark, gets his 11th of the season in a losing cause. What the heck happened to Pittsburgh? Wow. Like 2-8 in their last 10, if I'm not mistaken.
It's one of those things where, like, you get closer to the playoffs, and especially after a playoff run, right? And sometimes you want to add for the playoffs, and then you upset the apple cart and you screw with chemistry. And I don't know, sometimes I think that you can mess a team up worse at the trade deadline trying to do something good for it, right? Like, I'm not saying picking up Marleau was like this kryptonite move that destroyed their locker room or something, but I think that sometimes, as like some teams, they do come out of the trade deadline a little discombobulated because you've kind of changed the thoughts on a good thing. You got some chemistry going between guys, and sometimes you split that up to try and fit new guys into the lineup that you've reinforced with. And, sometimes I think these things happen.
The Red Wings, yes, the Detroit Red Wings have finally matched the Sharks' inaugural season win total with their 17th win. They beat the Lightning in the shootout 5-4. Braden Point had 2 goals in this one. A rough point lost by Tampa as they're trying to fight Boston in that race. In Calgary, the Golden Knights win 5-3. Theodore with the game-winning goal with 1:10 left after Calgary had come back to tie it at 3. The Blues shut out the Blackhawks. It's the first time in Blues history that they that they sweep the season series from Chicago. Pietrangelo and Bortuzzo with the 2 goals for Chicago as Jake Allen gets a shutout against Chicago. Minnesota wins it 5-4 in overtime. Kevin Fiala with the game-winning goal in overtime. He's been on a roll lately.
Yeah, the Minnesota Mild trying to get wild.
Oh man, Columbus trying to claw back into the playoff race. They beat Vancouver 2-1. Elias Pettersson with the only goal for Vancouver, his 27th. Merzlikins back in the lineup with the victory in Columbus there. So, oh man, so it is what it is. It's tough being out of the playoff race because it's so great to look at these races right now. I mean, shoot, Florida's hanging in there. The Rangers are
Hmm.
hanging in there. I mean,
Yeah,
Carolina's at 79, along with the Islanders.
The East has got a really interesting playoff race for sure.
Yep.
It's especially some of those Metro teams, like it's hard. Like I know, like I've spoken in favor, but of like I here's the thing, right? Like I know people are like, oh, just go to one through eight, but like the 1 through 8 is like it's like the original six. It's a big lie. It was never 1 through 8. It was the top three seeds from one division, and then everyone else fell in underneath it. Right? Like it was never 1 through 8. Like, oh, they got to go back to 1 through 8. It was never 1 through 8. There was the Southeast Division where, like, when it was like
Oh,
all
jeez.
bad teams, it was Washington at their worst, Florida, Tampa, putrid, Carolina, putrid, and Atlanta, perpetually putrid. And like the winner of that division would get the third seed in the playoffs. But if they weren't if they didn't get that seed from being like a playoff team, they wouldn't make the playoffs at all.
Right.
And this is the lie that is 1 through 8. But still, when you look at the Eastern playoff race, like, and even in somewhat like when you look at the Pacific and stuff, like I can see why people would like to go back to a more 1 through 8 system. Maybe even just the top two seeds. Fine, you give the top two seeds the top divisional, the top two seeds, and do everything else. Because I can't see the NHL ever going through a true 1 through 8. Like they want divisions to matter for more than just schedule. But yeah, I think the East is definitely giving you a reason to at least reconsider the playoff format, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah. And like Felix says, the wild card races in both conferences, though. Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I mean, you have St. Louis, Colorado, Dallas in the Central. Colorado and St. Louis are starting to stretch out their lead in the Central. Dallas has kind of fallen off in there. In the Pacific, I mean, Vegas is clinging on after going on that 8-game winning streak. They're clinging on to first place by just 2 points, and Vegas has a game in hand at 82, and Calgary at 79. The wild card.
Then it just gets silly, yeah.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, granted, Chicago's at 70, but you have Arizona, Winnipeg, Nashville, Vancouver, Minnesota are all separated by 3 points. I mean, a winning streak here or there, and you're in a wild card spot.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It's tankathon time.
You want the tankathon?
Yeah, of course on
All
tankathon.
right,
Then we got to get out of here.
you got it. All right, folks. He's asked for it. Let's tankathon here. Oh boy. All right, let's make this happen. We got the tankathon simulator. Let's see what we can do here, folks. All right. Oh boy. Fingers crossed, everyone. Come on. All right. That's probably
Hey,
the best. That's
that's
probably the
not
best
bad.
case scenario.
That's not bad at all. All
No,
right. I
no.
love it.
All right. The Sharks pick would go number 7. Ottawa's pick themselves would go number 6. Uh, Arizona has that their pick I think it's like top 10 or lottery protected, so they would pick number 2 with New Jersey going number 1 overall.
Wow, there you go.
So that's our draft loss simulator for this one. So, well, Ian, it's been fun. It's been a great time. To all of you watching, by all means, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. I know it's been a rough season, and we appreciate seeing. We got 42 people in here. We're at 19. Come on, people. Let's get those likes up a little bit more. In case you missed anything, or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, you name it, you love it. Always available at tealtownusa.com for that one. So,
Yeah.
Ian, Mr. Angry Canadian Robot, your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
I thought the game was fine. I mean, I think I set like a few. I wish I could go back and figure out when I set the over under for 5 for the games the Sharks would win. They've played a lot better since I said that. And if you took the over, you're probably doing pretty good now. I don't know if you're there yet, but you're probably going to do pretty good. I honestly, you can't ask for much more. I mean, we know the score on the season, but I feel like they have been more entertaining to watch since the game where I was just like, this team's not going to win 5 games for the next 21 or whatever it was at the time. So I mean, at least even tonight, I thought they were still entertaining in a loss. Like I wasn't bored out of my mind or anything. So um, I don't know. I mean, small victories, right?
Hey, at this point, you gotta take them, right?
Also, awesome conversation in the chat. And I wish we could
Yep.
do more
We,
with the conversation in the chat, but
you,
the time.
yeah. We'll kind of glance over it really quick. The goal is to make sure the top 8 D-men can step in, contribute anytime. Braun and Ryan could not do that last season, in my opinion, and now with Nabby, goaltending will improve. Uh,
One can hope.
yep.
I think Braun was like moving on from Braun was gonna be the move regardless.
Right.
Braun's got to be what, 33 now, I think. Like it gets like Braun was getting to the point where his best before date had passed. Like he was gonna be a casualty, whether it was Erik Karlsson or whether it was just to keep Brendan Dillon or whatever. Justin Braun was going to be the odd man out sooner than later.
Right. Yeah.
With Mario Ferraro, like just guys stepping in. Braun was on his way out. I'm not upset over losing Braun.
Joshua Zoll, the Sharks can return to the playoffs and make a run if they have all 12 forwards locked in and not on dry spells. I think that's asking a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you can get decent production out of guys you expect production out of, if you can get league average goaltending if you don't have to wait for half a season to get league average goaltending, you can do more things. I mean, a lot of things went wrong for the Sharks this year. A lot of things. Everything broke wrong. If you can get half of those things to break right, who knows? I'm not saying I'm incredibly confident that this is a playoff team next year, but I can see the road there.
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I think it's not for sure. I mean, I know AJ's mentioned before, you know, may not make it this year or next year, maybe the year after, but they got some work to do. Ultimate Oriole, I can see that, but who knows? Like I said, can't do anything about it now except strapped in and hope for the best.
That's it.
JF Turner is saying hoping to get Dadanov or Toffoli in free agency. Um, Ultimate Oriole also saying Sharks can compete for playoffs next year if we stay healthy, keep this coaching staff, get a top 6 wiener and more depth, and commit to playing better defensively. I'm looking at you, Bertie.
I still, yeah, I mean, obviously they have to play better defensively. I think even if I'm not sold you keep this entire coaching staff though.
Yeah.
Like if you keep Bob Bugner, like do you not try and improve the assistant situation and then reinforce the Barracuda situation on top of that? Because right now, like this was done very on the cheap. Like let's be honest, the reason they did it the way they did was because Plattner didn't want to spend more money. You got to reinforce you have to reinforce the coaching staff. Like I'm not saying Mike Ricci can't be an NHL coach. I'm just saying, but someone has to go back and coach this Barracuda team too.
Yeah. The Sharks.
I don't know. We got to get out of here though.
Yeah, the Sharks are going on a 3-game road trip, and while we get out of here, I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. But we are getting some rumors that events scheduled at the Shark Tank on March 12th through the 15th have been canceled. Look for an announcement tomorrow about that. So stay tuned to your social media and your local stations out here. Of course, if we hear anything, we will, of course, send that to you no matter what. But we're hearing reports that events scheduled at the Shark Tank while the Sharks are on their road trip might be canceled. So we'll be on the lookout for that. You know what else you'll be lookout on? Us next time the Sharks play the Blackhawks as they begin a 3-game road trip, Chicago, Dallas, and Nashville. So we'll be back with you on Wednesday. We'll be your live and interactive Sharks post-game show on there. And make sure you hit us on the social media and make sure you subscribe down below. the conversation now continues on our Discord channel. So until then, thanks for watching. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on Wednesday.